Project management lessons from Thanksgiving dinner. This is going to be an unusual one, folks. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan, Myford University, also the MBA Accelerator channel. We believe in learning it fast and applying it faster. Highly recommend you subscribe. Also, give us a like and a share. Don't keep us a secret. All right. So, as you know or may not know, I am a project manager, and I have an approach to how to handle projects, whether they be technology, logistics, construction, you name it. I have an approach, and it's kind of a hybrid approach. But interesting side story, I realized over Thanksgiving that I project managed Thanksgiving dinner. Um, Let me give you some backstory real quick. I enjoy cooking. I like barbecuing. I like smoking. I like preparing big, large dinners. My wife is a very good cook, and she handles the weekday thing. I usually cook on weekends and big holidays. I usually take on doing Thanksgiving dinner. But I did something a little different this year. I'm pretty accomplished at cooking. I can pretty much do it from scratch. I used to use recipes. Now I just use them for a little bit of inspiration. And I've gotten to the point where I can kind of freelance and come up with a restaurant level, restaurant quality meal without a solid recipe. But I did project manage this dinner, something I've never really done. I wanted to be able to relax and coordinate things without having to, be up and, about every 5 minutes and be looking for things. So how did I do it? And there's a lesson to be learned here in terms of how to, project management or project manage anything. And as funny as it seems, I project managed the dinner. So here's what I did. In order to make sure that everything kind of ran in coordinated fashion, I took out some 3M Post-it notes and I took out the Sharpie and I put a category for everything. I had the turkey, I had the stuffing, I had the mashed potatoes, I had the asparagus. That was the green that we had. We also did the sweet potatoes in a baked fashion. Um, Maybe one or two other things. Oh, the gravy. Um, I think that was pretty much it. There might have been one thing more, but you'll get the concept. So what I did was I said to myself, all right, I don't want to be scrambling. I don't want to. I want to make sure I've got everything. So on each post-it note, I put something down. Here's an example: the turkey. Brine the turkey. Uh, I did a turkey breast. I didn't do the full turkey, but brine it, then drain it, then prep it to go in the oven, so on and so forth. But what I did was I created sub lists off of everything, and I was like, okay, I need a brining mix, so I put what I thought I was going to use in terms of ingredients on that. I made a list. I put together the dry rub that I was going to use and created a list for that. I also said on the bottom of each thing what tools I was going to need. In other words, the pan, whatever it might be. I also put bacon on my turkey breast when I put it in the oven. So I also wrote down the poundage because I used the 20 minutes per pound at 375, I think it was, rule, and I also tent it with foil. So I had one post-it note with all the things I needed there. I also had two sub post-it notes for the brining and for the dry rub mixture. Did the same thing with the mashed potatoes. This way I knew I was going to need certain measuring cups, certain pots, certain pans, you name it. And I had it on the island, and effectively, each post-it note, very much like a Kanban board, which a lot of you might see I have at the back of my truck all the time. I do have a Kanban board that sits back there. I noticed it recently that it shows up in a lot of these videos. But I effectively created a series of post-it notes, and as each thing was getting done, I would pick it up, crumple it, and throw it away. And it was very smooth. It made things in life a lot easier, and I was able to enjoy the company instead of spending all my time in the kitchen rummaging for what I needed and making sure I had all the ingredients and this, that, and the other. Bottom line is, as funny as it sounds, I project managed Thanksgiving. Now, here's the thing. You can do this with anything. Anything. You can sit there and say you're going to do an auto repair. The way I attack an auto repair, I don't necessarily write it down, but I could just the same way I did with Thanksgiving. All right, what parts am I going to need? What tools am I going to need? What, filters, what fluids, what, everything. and I make sure I have all the tools ready, and I come up with a game plan. I give estimates in terms of how long things are going to take, what the timing is. I also sometimes, if it's a complicated thing that I'm doing, I will create a procedure list. I'll sometimes do it on the notes function in my iPhone, but it's a way to keep yourself organized and moving along so that you don't have all sorts of breaks of looking for something when you could have had it all ready to go ahead of time. Uh, Here's another example. You can do this in terms of your fitness goals. Maybe you do a sheet where you have what it is that you're doing. I'm going to do X number of push-ups, X number of sit-ups. I'm going to do X number of steps. You can actually project manage that. So the bottom line is you can use certain project management tools, and in most cases, I tend to use checklists, pre-flight checklists, if you will, and I use a Kanban approach in some cases. Again, or you can do a simple to-do list, which Kanban is kind of a Kanban board is kind of a fancy to-do list. I'll do a separate post on that. I love that tool. In fact, I actually create a little notebook sometimes for myself, or I even do it on a spreadsheet sometimes. But the bottom line is you can project manage pretty much anything. So if you find this kind of a tool helpful and you want to learn more about some of the tools, models, concepts, techniques, approaches, check out myforduniversity.com. Check out the Myford University YouTube channel or the MBA Accelerator channel if you're very interested in MBA-oriented material in particular. Uh, you won't be disappointed. Please subscribe, give us a like and a share. I'm George Sloan. Thank you for visiting with us. Again, we believe in learning it fast and applying it faster and getting those real-world results. We'll see you the next time. Thank you.